Bomb. Send bomb.
Been like this all day.
Did you rub my land?
1,000 generations to the Nina. Here we go.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Courtney. How are you?
What's up, Kaleena? How you doing?
Good. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for taking the time out with me. I know there's a couple folks, especially within your suicide family, that you are collaborating with on this project. So I was curious what it was initially that drew you to the terminal list and how you ultimately got involved.
Ultimately, I got involved just through an audition process. I was actually in quarantine in Australia when I did some reads for Antoine Fuqua, sort of setup director on this, and EP and David Giglio and those guys, and we were talking originally about a couple of different roles, and then it worked out. They gave me the opportunity to come and play Horn, and I jumped at it. I mean, the source material for this is amazing. Jack Carr's books are incredible, and I think a really cool, smart choice for something for these guys to adapt. And I don't know, I liked what they were doing with it. It's a great group of people. Obviously a huge Chris Pratt fan, and I knew he'd make something special with Amazon and these guys. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty traditional approach, to be honest, but I got the job, and I was super grateful for that, for sure.
And then you get to hang out with your friends, so it's the perfect situation. That's great.
Exactly.
I love limited series because I love the idea of so many different directors and creatives getting to get involved. I'm wondering, from your perspective as the actor, how working with different people while you're playing the same character, how the different directors ends up influencing either your performance or influencing how your character changes throughout the series.
I think it's an interesting one. It's a great question. Because you tend to, as you move forward with something like this, gain a little more ownership over it. And definitely when some directors come in, there's an energetic shift, and you can kind of like, it can be a little terrifying sometimes, because sometimes it's just down to the communication and how, the different reads people get on different characters. And, I mean, in a healthy way, sometimes there's great like conflict and discussion around those things, because you end up being quite protective about some choices, and I like that. I mean, I like directors that want to kind of push stuff around in that way. I just came off a Netflix thing that was completely different in the way that it was shot. It was so out of sequence that it was like a wild thing to kind of, we had people coming in and we were jumping back and forth in time, and it was this and that, like a lot of elements to juggle as far as how you hang on to something and also like invite other people in. But I think ultimately having a really great showrunner like Dave on this, anchoring it with really strong kind of people who've developed like the crap out of it, so they really understand the world, and working with a studio who are going to kind of support their directors to bring what they can as individuals to it, but also preserve the sort of, the core values of the production itself. And I think when you assemble good teams, that works out. And delighted to say that we had the fortune of experiencing that on the terminal list.
That's a great segue into my next question, because without going into details, these episodes are longer. They're all either over or averaging close to an hour. And so it's almost like each episode is a movie within itself, and it's structured as a traditional narrative with a shocking beginning, big ups and downs in the middle, and then usually something startling that happens towards the end. So as the actor, are you given all 8 scripts ahead of time? Are you sat down and explained what your character arc is going to look like? And how does that change your approach as the actor throughout your performance?
A bit of both. I mean, yeah, look, jumping in, I knew the arc of Steve Horn. It was an important part of understanding, what we're jumping into. I mean, obviously, like sometimes that's not the case, and actors get opportunities that, of course, you're not going to say no to. But there's like a lot to be revealed. I mean, Horn is a kind of sort of, without giving too much away, has a particular impact in this, and a particular sort of amount of significance. So, I mean, understanding how he fit into the larger world was, just a cool thing, and something I was curious about, but something also super necessary to understand what sort of character you're gonna develop and invest in. I loved it. I mean, he's a lot of fun. And you're right. I mean, these apps are super exciting and kind of do leave you on the edge of your seat, which is a lot like Jack Carr's books. You know, they're real kind of page turners and with tons of cliffhangers. And I think that's what's going to make this such an engaging thing for audiences. No, I kind of love that about roles like this. It's like it's one of my favorite things about tackling a character like this, because it's not my job to make him relatable so much as it's my job to kind of relate to him myself in some way. And I feel like if you're able to humanize characters like this and do that convincingly, then audiences will effectively kind of pick up on that. And I mean, one of the things for me I just like to do with characters that are a little more polarizing is, hope that people have fun with it. And even if you're playing a total dick, like I want people to want more of him on screen. I want people to kind of have some sense of connection to it. Even if they hate him, I want them to love to hate him. That's my job. So yeah, I don't know. I totally embrace that. I think it's fun. It's not, with a character like this, it's not about making him likable so much as it is just making him something that people enjoy spending time with on some level.
I love that answer. That's fantastic. I was wondering as well, obviously as an actor, you're kind of guided that the script is going to be your Bible, that you're intended to stick with what's written. Do you find it more challenging when you also have a source material like a book? Do you find that that's limiting to you, that you don't have flexibility to continue growing and developing your character?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think, with most things that are adapted, there's an amount of, you kind of have to honor what's there, but by the time things hit the page on a film or TV script, they're already probably pulling away from that source material to some extent. And I would never begin to rewrite something like this for myself on the day and pretend that I was going to come up with better dialogue for a character like Horn. It's wonderfully written. But there's always a bit of flexibility. I mean, he's a little different than he comes across in the book. He's already kind of probably a little younger, and there's just some, it's a different format. So what bounces off the page for one person isn't necessarily what's going to work on the screen. And you're trusting in the writers and the creators to have already navigated the best path for that. But I think the beauty of hiring great people, casting things appropriately, is that they want you to kind of bring something else to it as well and elevate it even further.
Absolutely. And as we get ready to wrap up here, you've had the opportunity to work on giant blockbuster films like, Suicide Squad. Does doing those larger films help prepare you to kind of scale yourself down for a limited series like that? And is there any moment from this production that you feel is going to change the way you approach yourself moving to future projects?
I don't know. I mean, look, every production prepares you for the next and teaches you something from the last. And I'm loving working in this space with limited series. I've been doing it a couple of times now recently, it's kind of new for me, but I love this. I love getting the time to kind of breathe with these roles and with these stories, and really kind of enjoying that. I mean, the bigger stuff like Suicide Squad is a totally different world altogether, because it's just like a different pace, really. And then you get the pleasure sometimes of working on tiny little things. Like I'm on a project at the moment and it's just like super threadbare and it's great. The drama's great, and you have to come up with a much more innovative economic way of creating the drama and finding it on screen that doesn't necessarily anchor itself to like traditional cinematic approaches. So yeah, look, I just hope to keep doing the dance. I love bouncing around in different worlds and seeing what that offers and what it inspires in you. And I guess we're always learning from one thing and trying to feed it into the next.
Well, we look forward to the next project. Thank you so much for your time today. You were lovely.
Thanks so much, Kate. Appreciate you. Cheers.